You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. All right, y'all, this is disappointing news. There's no other way around it. About an hour ago, Brody Miller of The Athletic broke the news that former Oklahoma and Notre Dame defensive backs coach and co-defensive coordinator Kerry Cooks would be joining the LSU staff. And Brody noted Cooks' specific role not decided yet, but that he'll be an assistant coach on Brian Kelly's staff. Now, Muse, I want you to go back into the Kelly audio from his introductory press conference, because he was asked, as Jacques asked the question, specifically about Corey Raymond and Kevin Falk, because there were reports, and forgive me, I don't have the report in front of me, but there were reports that Corey Raymond and Kevin Falk were returning to staff. This was before Brian Kelly was hired. And I'll see if I can find that exact report. And candidly, and I've told you this, I'd heard similar, that Corey Raymond, Brad Davis were staying. We got the news today, Brad Davis is being retained on staff. And when Brian Kelly was asked about it at his press conference, about those two in particular, Corey Raymond, Kevin Falk, this is what Brian Kelly said.
Yeah, I have not made any decisions based upon who will stay and who may go. I haven't had any individual conversations with any of them, so any narrative out there is not coming from any conversations that I've had with them. They are well respected, and I will get an opportunity to vet out all of those coaches. They've done a great job. I know the business. They know the business. There are realities in this business. But we'll get to all of those coaches because, as I mentioned earlier, they have families, they have lives, and we have to get moving in that direction.
So it was Jerry Hamilton, along with Gary Hamilton. Forgive me, Gary Hamilton of On3 Sports, and Brody, who reported today. This was on November the 29th. November the 29th at 8:49 p.m. The tweet was, can confirm, and it was a report from Gary Hamilton of On3 Sports. Can confirm LSU cornerbacks coach Raymond is expected to remain on Brian Kelly's staff, crucial staff for the past decade. Hamilton also reported Kevin Falk will stay on, but still working to confirm that. That was from Brody Miller on November the 29th. So Gary Hamilton of On3 Sports reported it. And again, many of us had heard that, and I had not heard the Kevin Falk news. What I'd heard was Brad Davis and Corey Raymond. Clearly, something in the last week has gone awry since Brian Kelly was hired. I kind of have a guess. And there was, and my guess is this is about respect. There was this narrative a year ago when LSU was replacing was replacing Bo Pelini with Durante Jones. That Corey Raymond didn't want to be a defensive coordinator. And I will tell you fundamentally that I know for a fact that is false. That Corey Raymond would, in fact, want to be a defensive coordinator. The tricky part has been Corey had been so ingrained here, coaching at his alma mater, making good money, a lot of personal ties in Baton Rouge as well. And he likely wasn't going to uproot and leave LSU for a lower tier coordinator job. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you'll get your crack at being a DC, but it's going to be at South Alabama. I'm just throwing out of school. You understand what I mean? He wasn't going to go lower at this point in his career. And I think what Corey wanted at this point, understanding that wasn't going to get an opportunity to be a DC at LSU, but what he wanted was money, because that was going to illustrate LSU's level of commitment and respect to him. Corey Raymond's base annual salary is $500K, and it increased, but Raymond making $500K, understand what he has been, and by the way, it averaged out to $575, and I think maybe crept with supplemental pay over $600, but understand, you're still talking about a difference when Brad Davis got the offensive line job last year, and they paid him $830K per year. So understand, if you're Corey Raymond, this is the issue he has. Probably understands he's never going to get that opportunity to be a DC at a place like LSU at this point in his career. Probably. Not certainty, but probably. But he has built DBU. He's been here for a decade. He's the guy. The guys come and play for him. I've told you this story before. The reason Patrick Surtain didn't end up at LSU when he was a self-described LSU lean forever was because when Corey was ticked off when they hired Bill Bush, started taking interviews with NFL teams. I think he interviewed with the Dolphins and maybe the Bengals. And Nick Saban went and negative recruited Surtain and said, by the way, the guy who you're going to play for is interviewing for NFL jobs right now, and he may not be there. That's when it changed. Now they got him to stay. But for Corey, it's been a thing about respect, and he wants money. And that's how you can illustrate your respect to him if it's not going to be in title. So if you're Corey, you're like, I've been here a decade. Look at all that I've done. I'm making $600, which is a great living. But the new guy comes in and makes $830, like jump on a 3-year deal. I mean, that's kind of, I think, how that's been interpreted. So I would love to know what the details of a potential new deal with Corey would have been at LSU, or if Brian Kelly came in and flatly said, no, I'm bringing in my own guy. And it appears as though that guy is Kerry Cooks. There's two sides of this. One is the massive disappointment of losing Corey Raymond, which should make you very fearful of the future of what has been the most stable and dominant position group that LSU's produced in the last decade plus, which is DBU. And that's Corey Raymond. I mean, he's the guy that all of these kids want to come play for. And if he's not here, there's a very legitimate question as to, okay, well, what happens at defensive back where you've been great for so long? That's a very legitimate question. The other part of this equation, y'all, is Billy Napier at Florida is a problem. And I know that some of you just brushed aside the whole Napier conversation. And I never stumped for Napier to get the LSU job, but when he took the Florida job, what I did say was that LSU was short-sighted to not even consider him because of where he coached. And had enough people, certainly at the school over in Tuscaloosa, who said, hey, look, if Napier ends up at LSU, that's a problem for Alabama. Because you give that guy those resources. Anyway, now look at what Billy Napier has over at Florida. I mean, Billy Napier, who's got deep ties in Louisiana now, and Corey Raymond, and you got to play them every year? So apparently, Corey Raymond is, I'll bet you this. I don't know what Florida's offering him, but I will bet you dollars to donuts he is going to get a sizable raise, and he is going to get a promotion. I'm sure he'll coach the secondary, but he's going to get a promotion. He's going to get a sizable raise because that's what That's where he felt like he was short-sighted here or short-changed here. Was that lack of respect after all that he had done? And maybe it was they looked and said, oh, he's comfortable here. It's his alma mater. He's been here forever. He'll stay. And here comes Billy offering him the thing that he knew Corey wanted. Gave it to him. And he'll take it to Florida. People have, I believe, recognized and appreciated, fans certainly have recognized and appreciated the job Corey Raymond has done here. But every person has different motivation. Some people don't care if they hang plaques on the wall. They want money. Some people want adulation. It's different for different people. But you have to find that motivation. And for Corey, he wanted respect and money. Respect as evidenced by money. And he didn't get it at LSU. And that's a big, big miss. As gigantic a get as Frank Wilson was on Tuesday, this is equally as cavernous a hole losing Corey Raymond on the staff. That is devastating. And not only that he's leaving, but that he's going to a school in your conference that you play every year. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.